In order to really understand the way racism operates, we have to understand the distinction between racism with an M and racist with a T. And so racism is inherently systemic, structural, and institutional, while racist with a T is individual. My name is Ibram X. Kendi, and I'm an American historian and writer. When something is the status quo, when inequality is normal, and you're doing nothing to challenge that inequality, you're complicit in its maintenance. And so to be anti-racist is to actively challenge the structures of racism in this country. During the enslavement era, what enslavers wanted people to do in the face of slavery was nothing. That's why they were so aghast at the emergence of the abolitionist movement, because you had a group of people who were directly challenging the power of enslavers. I started out studying Black student activists who were critical and challenging racism in the late 1960s and early 1970s, and I realized they were also critical in challenging racist ideas more broadly, which led me down the path of really wanting to chronicle the history of anti-Black racist ideas. And once I published Stamped from the Beginning, and I chronicled not only the history of racist ideas, but anti-racist ideas, I had more and more people asking me, how can I be anti-racist? Because the concept of anti-racist was new for many people. They thought the objective was to be not racist. And so the more people asked me, how can they be anti-racist? The more I realized, well, maybe I should write about it, which ultimately led me to writing How to Be an Anti-Racist. When I was in the middle of writing the book, I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And as I started going through treatment, I began to see so many different parallels between the metastatic disease that I had and really the metastatic disease of racism that this nation and in fact this world is facing. I began to see the ways in which the tumor cells in my body that had spread were similar to the tumor cells of racial inequity. I started to see the parallels of even treatment. Just as a surgeon ultimately could go into my body and surgically remove these tumors, so too can we go in and surgically remove the policies and practices that are leading to the tumors of inequity. But the most important parallel is when you're diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, it's hard to believe you're going to survive. Just as I know many Americans, it's hard for them to believe we could survive it. We could create a society where our government and our leaders were focused on ensuring what was best for the community as opposed to ensuring what was the best for a select few who already had the most. I'm just imagining, a different type of world that would be more enriching for humanity. Some people would call this world idealistic. I don't think it's idealistic. I think it's the world that we should be focused on creating, and we can create it.